Okay, so this is simplifying a quotient of square roots. One of the things that we need to, a rule that we need to remember is that it's the quotient property of square roots. Okay, so this is a rule. It's a quotient, well, it's more of a property, so quotient property of square roots. Okay, and all that property states is that the square root of a over the square root of b is the same as writing the square root of a over b. All right, so if I had the square root of 50 over the square root of 2, it would really be the square root of 50 over 2, and 50 divided by 2 is 25, and so this is the square root of 25, and the square root of 25 I know is 5. Okay, so I could also have, let's look at another one. If I were to do the square root of 46 over the square root of 2, I would get the square root of 46 over 2, which is equal to the square root of 23, and there's nothing I can do there, so that is my answer, right? So in some cases, you might get a nice integer number, so you might get something that looks like, just 5. In other cases, you might get something that's still an irrational number, and in which case you just type it in the way it is right there. Okay. So one more. Let's say I were to have, the square root of 128 over the square root of 64. Okay. That's going to be equal to the square root of 128 over 64, which is actually equal to 2. So there's my irrational answer. All right. So very straightforward. You're just simply doing a division, and then at the very end you just leave it as is and don't even worry about it. And then just type it in actually. Okay. Last one though. What if we switch the direction of this? We get now the square root of 5 over 80, and this would just be equal to 1 over 16, and you'd have that, but now the challenge becomes like, oh, well, I can't have just the square root of 1 over 16 because I could take the square root of 1 over the square root of 16, and that gives me 1 over 4. And so there's my answer there. So you got to be careful when you have these inverted ones because you still need to do a square root in order to knock out the full simplification. So like if this one above were square root of 80 over square root of 5, you would have said that, oh, this is the square root of 80 over 5, which is the square root of 16, which is equal to 4. But because this was written in the reciprocal format up here, it becomes 1 over 4. All right. So just remember, you got to keep an eye on, if you have a larger number on the bottom, just make sure that it's not fully square rootable at the end.